talk about sports gambling because we didn't get a chance to do this yesterday. Shohei Ohtani spoke, gave a statement basically to the media. He said a lot of things that answered a lot of questions, I think, in a lot of people's minds. No, although nobody really, not nobody, but a majority of people on the internet are like, okay.
Yeah.
You can say this in whatever language you want with however many interpreters you need. Everybody's automatically saying this is Shohei. Shohei, though, was saying something completely different. Here's him from his statement on Monday that we didn't get to address yesterday because we were at the NFL League meetings.
まずはじめに、僕自身は、何かにかけたりとか、誰かに代わって、そのスポーツイベントにかけたりとか、それをまた頼んだり、っていうことはないですし、僕の口座からブックメーカーに対して誰かに送金を依頼したことももちろん全くありません。本当に数日前まで彼がそういうことをしていたっていうのも全く知りませんでした。正直ショックという言葉が正しいとは思わないですし、それ以上のうまく言葉では表せないような感覚でこの1週間ぐらいはずっと過ごしてきたので、今はそれをうまく言葉にするのは難しいなと思っています。
Now, the reason why I wanted it to be him speaking Japanese, and we hope the Associated Press translated that properly, we will assume that they did, is because what I think, if you listen to Shohei's story, is that his interpreter, the person who is literally his mouth and his ears in the United States of America, Ippei Mitsuhara, I believe we're learning a lot about this guy who said he went to a college. He did not go to a college. I mean, who knows? But I want to hear it from him because I think there's a chance with the stories he's telling is that Ippei was literally going, is that right? Okay, to Shohei, and then speaking in English to people. And then going, yeah, do you speak Japanese? No, okay. No. All right. And then going back to him, that's what they just said. This person controls the narrative of the conversation. What gets left in, what gets left out. Now, there's a new interpreter that was sitting next to Shohei, and this is the biggest shoes in the history of interpreting that I've ever seen in my entire life coming in there. But it is, the Dodgers now have come out and said that without Ippei there, seems like there's a much easier direct line to Shohei, almost indicating like maybe Shohei was kind of kept on an island by Ippei Mitsuhara, who, if you listen to Shohei's side of this, and once again, we are not an MLB show. At all.
No.
There is no reason for us to just automatically believe Shohei Ohtani, okay? Like, that is not in our MO. We are a sports gambling show. We enjoy what sports gambling brings, although we do believe there has to be some curtailing to it, which I believe some people are pitching in real time. There is a chance, if you look at the history of professional athletes getting money taken from them,
Big chance.
Getting taken advantage of because how focused they are on their sport, how they hire somebody to take care of something, and this person has taken advantage of them in the past because they either don't know what's going on, or they don't keep up with things, or they literally just go hands off, hand free, you do your thing.
Yeah.
The amount of financial advisors that have taken millions of dollars from professional athletes, and it happens to actors and everything else like that. But for a time, professional athletes were seemingly getting preyed upon because they don't pay attention to as much because they're so focused and dialed in. So I naturally, and teammates of mine have had this happen to them, I naturally have a little bit more of empathy for an athlete getting taken advantage of, which is what the story is being portrayed from Shohei's team here, is that Ippei was utilizing his position and taking advantage of it, and maybe he's selling something differently to Shohei. Shohei said he didn't even know he was gambling until a few days ago. So what was Ippei telling him that money was going to? Because allegedly in the original report, Fed said it came from Shohei Ohtani's account. So was he being sold like a real estate business? Was he being sold something else from Ippei? I assume we're going to learn all of this stuff, but I think this story has the chance to be one that is not only like wild because of potential lies that were being told, but if money's moving from accounts and they're at banks, there's going to be videos of these things happening where Ippei goes, and he goes, if that's Seabass over there, he's paying for it. And then he goes, Shohei, 2 thumbs up. Like, see, you just said it, boom, bang, we're out of there. Like, if that's what was taking place, which is what is kind of being alleged here by Shohei's, I think this story is just going to continue to go. And if Ippei was his mouth and his ears.
And power of attorney.
He was around him a lot. So the amount of like potential, stories about Shohei that aren't necessarily showing Shohei in the most positive light are potentially going to be coming. Like this is brewing. This is brewing very, very large. There's a lot of conspiracies obviously kicking out there that Shohei became a massive gambler whenever he came to the United States. This guy's taking a fall for him, which could be true. Hey, We are nowhere near the end of this thing. Could be true. Completely understandable that people are automatically thinking that because of the history of athletes and gambling as well in this whole thing. But nonetheless, either way that this goes, it is going to be gigantic. And gambling is front and center in the middle of it, just like it is now in multiple sports, which is a wild time to be alive.
Yeah, crazy. And I think a lot of those like conspiracies, and I obviously am on the record as a conspiracy theorist in some aspects, but I think a lot of the problems.
Not some aspects. You don't think birds are real.
So, the thing about the birds is like, you can think what you want, but
not
that's
all
fact.
birds will get it.
Yeah, it's a fact. But the real problem is when it first started, the changing of the story. Like the reason those things are still running and they'll always run, and no matter what, people will go back to the beginning like, well, they changed their story a couple times, and because of that, it's hard to believe everything. But you just laid it out. It is so easy for this guy to be taken advantage of when he's in a country that he has no idea the language.
Now, why doesn't he learn English? I think is what some people will say.
Sure.
So he doesn't know any English. So if this guy, like, that's going to be a whole other story they're going to have to say.
Exactly.
Like if there's video of Ippei and Shohei at a thing, and Ippei's talking, and then he's talking to, and he's doing this whole number, and they're like, so you're telling me Shohei couldn't understand what anybody over there was saying? And I guess there is a chance that is the case.
It is. My friend was Chapman, the pitcher. He couldn't speak a lick of English, and always had to have an interpreter around him when we would go out and do different things. Like, but didn't understand English at all.
So there's a chance that he did. And when I went to Japan, beautiful country,
gorgeous. So clean.
Cleanest, nicest, quietest, most functioning place I've ever been in my entire life. It's not like other countries where people speak English, you know?
No.
Like where you can kind of... There was not a lot of... And their language is nothing like ours. Nothing like ours. It is vastly different. So that was... I've been very fortunate to travel to a lot of places. That was something I wanted to do. Even came back after my rookie year after traveling to Africa and Europe and everywhere with like $2,000 left in my money. If I don't make the team, I'm not gonna have it. But I traveled. You know, like I wanted to go see places, do things. That's the first place I've ever been where it's like, oh, there's a chance that nobody understands a single thing that I'm saying. So you literally have to get to your iPhone app to go to a keyboard to translate to Japanese to be able to have the interaction. So like some places, I think your languages can kind of cross over, and you have heard it. Japan did not feel like that. Now with Shohei, who's a superstar, you would think that at some point, like maybe a little bit of understanding, but there's also like, why do we automatically assume that Japanese guy has to learn our language? Like he doesn't. He doesn't have to be a professional baseball player. So there's like so many layers to this where like the public opinion is going to be hard to sway, I think, after what decision they've already made up. And it's wild. It's very wild what Shohei's laying out.
Yeah, I mean, I think like he definitely understands some English, but it's all baseball related. You know, like he knows strike, he knows ball, he knows out. Like he knows how to communicate.
Hello, how you doing?
Exactly.
Good to see you.
He knows how to communicate with his teammates.
Two down.
Two down. Exactly. He's the biggest.
Need to know that.
Right. He's the biggest star in the world. So like, if you're not comfortable with your English, like he's getting 100 cameras in his face every single day. Like, nah, I really don't want to go out here and look like an idiot. Like, I do need this interpreter, and that's why we also were talking about it. Like, this guy knows his schedule so well. He knows everything. Okay, Shohei's going to be sleeping in the hotel, taking a nap from this time to this time. Like, and he has all of it. You know,
he could have prayed. If you have and we just started talking pre-show. If you have a hustler mindset, okay, which this guy potentially does. Hustler mindset, not bad, by the way. When a hustler mindset is utilized in the right fact, it's great. It is the right thing to have. I think people would assume that we're kind of hustling our shit here. Like this is, if you're a business-minded person, but a hustler by trait, and you are the only outlet for the biggest star on earth, you could see how maybe, I don't want to say pray, but like that is a pretty easy kind of finagle, especially with, we talked about this.
700.
You're going to the nicest steak. You're the person that is the plug for Shohei Ohtani at the nicest restaurants, business people, everything. You're the one. So if you're a hustler and have that in your mind, you could easily work. You could start working that. And it's like, that's why the hiring of the interpreter, I don't think I've ever thought about. That's got to be like a pure soul.
Oh, yeah.
That has to be like a very, very pure. Not saying, once again, Ipe, I assume he has his entire side, even though he said he's the one that lost all the gambling money and Shohei kind of covered for him as a good friend. It's like, you got to be a real pure soul to be the entire eyes and ears and mouth for somebody in a country, especially if he's worth $700 million at this point, and everybody assumes he's going to be a billionaire. It's like, you could see how this situation could get a little sideways.
Yeah, I mean, and also, who knows? Like, when he first came over and he wasn't the massive superstar that he is right now, like, it's possible that more of this stuff did go through Shohei, and he was always just like, yeah, you know, whatever, like, do what you got to do, yeah, that's fine. And then eventually he's just like, oh, this guy doesn't care. He's so busy. Like, and then he just gives himself autonomy to do, because like you said, like, he's going to places, people are treating him like Shohei Ohtani. He's not just like, oh, the right-hand man. It's like, hey, you want to talk to my guy? Like, you go through, I might as well be Shohei.
Well, and I assume, you know, if this story is accurate, Shohei had a lot of trust in this person.
For sure.
A lot of faith in this person. Probably thought this person was family.
Like best friend.
You know, there's people that make decisions for people's money, you know, that get hired without people knowing. But, like, if you don't, I mean, that thing's only going to,
oh, yeah.
I think it's only going to continue to compound.